Hello. Basically, this is 66th number part of the PHP. This is basically the 66th number part of the PHP. So one of the person told me, what is this topic? Yeah? Cookies. So cookies basically in simple language, basically you can say the identification of the client, basically identifying the users, that how many users basically are accessing the websites basically. So for that basically if they access second time, then basically they will get tracked basically. And like this basically the how many time basically the user is accessing the website, that can be tracked from the cookies basically. So see the basically the cookies syntax: set cookies name, value, expire, path, domain, secure, HTTP. So here basically the things required is name, what would be the name of the cookies, and here basically what would be the value, expiry date basically. This many things is required basically. So how the cookies are created? See basically. This is the cookies name, cookies value, and this is basically the expiry basically. That when basically the cookies is going to be expired. Like this basically the cookies are created, and after creation basically of the cookies, how basically the cookies gets extract from the client side. So see basically. One of the person basically asked the question, cookies basically without server side basically cookies is not going to work, right? Basically, so server also might be keeping something basically, or basically the when you create the cookies basically, that from this command basically the client creates the cookies. That's all basically. Like these basically things are getting over. Is it possible basically? No basically. Everything basically are trackable. So server also basically keeps something basically. Otherwise basically how the, because there are many domains basically which access that particular user basically, which is accessed by that particular user. That means something basically the server also keep within the server to track the users basically. Otherwise basically how the client server relationship basically comes into the picture. So they also basically might be keeping something basically, but we don't have the exact information basically, because it's not secure na basically. If basically anybody will know that basically cookies is keeping the server information, sorry, the client information, that will create problem to the server basically. But it's very dangerous basically to play with the cookies. Lots of people say that cookies are very simple basically. It's very simple basically, but it's very dangerous basically. Modifying the cookies is also possible. Deleting the cookies is also possible. Just here to set the expiry date, nothing else. Enable the cookies. Opposite to delete basically. There basically we are expiring the date. Here basically we are incrementing the time basically. That's all basically. Directly basically cookies delete is not possible. Why? Because it's very dangerous, no basically. You can't PHP basically can't give directly delete cookies command basically, because it's physically basically you can't do anything. You can basically set the timing. This everything basically you can do. Now basically we are going to see of the session basically. What actually the session is. One of the person told that I want to pass basically one variable data basically to all pages of the current session. For example, one user basically opened the website. So that is one user, right? That is one user means that is one session basically. In technical PHP language basically it is called as a session. It is called as a previously basically there was session and application also. Application is basically one variable you declared and you basically assigned that variable's value. That variable value basically can be accessed to the all the users basically. Whoever basically access the website basically they can access. But here session means particular user basically opened the website and that basically he basically can pass the information to all the pages basically. So that is basically given name as a session basically. See basically the read basically what actually it's telling. Session is a way to store information variable to be used across the multiple pages. Unlike the cookies information stored in the user computer. It's not stored in the computer. So that is very different. What is PHP session basically? So see basically it's given basically. In simple language basically you just have to understand this much basically. Session means if you want to pass, but if you are writing anything definition basically you have to write down everything basically. When you work with the application you open it, do some changes and then basically you close. That much like a session basically. Computer known basically, computer know who you are, it know when you basically start the application and when you end. So basically whenever basically the user is basically accessing the PC or basically accessing the website, that time basically his session basically started. But when he close basically his session basically gets sent. That basically happens automatically. But best way is to close the session and expire the session basically, or basically the clear the session. That is the best basically programming technique basically you can say. Whenever basically you are closing the browser, close is the best way basically. But system basically closes it, but you don't give burden to the system basically. That basically I want to say. Session variable solves problem storing information to be used in the multiple pages. For example, username, favorite, color, this, that, each and every by default basically session basically is used into the all page basically. So like this basically this is a session basically. How basically sessions are working in the PHP? Because in .NET basically sessions are different, in Java basically the sessions are different, but the task basically of the session basically is same, but the writing command basically and the command basically of the syntax each and every stuff basically are different. So way of the session writing basically is totally different in all the side basically. So like let's basically see what actually the session basically works and how it's working. So see basically PHP session basically you have to write down the start session first. PHP global variable is this dollar session. We have created one demo session page. So see basically first basically you have to write down this, otherwise session will not work. Session start, session basically allocated, favorite color, then what is that, animal basically favorite animal, you have set it, and this two session basically set it in the particular page basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this session.